two. Down to one. It's Gaines. Yes!
This ball is crushed.
MC Cannibal, rap Hannibal. Here to change the game, mainframe, all y'all programmable. Coaching on tracks, balling like a paper like Phil. I'm on BS for real, my rhymes convicting me.
Welcome to the Faithful Fan Show. I'm your host, Tony Cook, joined by nobody today. It's rough out here, man. I got to pop on and give y'all updates on preseason so far with the Cowboys. There's been 2 games so far. We played the Jaguars and we played the Seahawks. We played them this past weekend on Saturday. And I can tell you guys, I'm ready to give you rosters. I'm ready to give you the full 53 right now. I'm done. I got everything I need, all the information I need. This next game is going to be real messy. I think it's against the Raiders this Saturday. And despite any more injuries, I'm sure you guys may or may not have heard, if you're a Cowboy fan, if you're tapped in, you may have heard we lost DeMarvion Overshown, our 3rd-round pick, to an ACL injury. He's out for the season and possibly half of next. Big blow, because DeMarvion Overshown was for sure going to be in the linebacker rotation. I would say linebacker number 3. But despite any further injury, I'm ready to give you guys the full roster, 53-man roster right now. And I'll give you giblets on almost every player because I'm dialed in. Hey, the season starts soon, ladies and gentlemen, because if you ain't dialed in with your team, you better get to work. It's go time. Super Bowl or bust. You know what I mean? So here we go. So we're going to start with the obvious quarterback room. Dak Prescott as quarterback 1. Okay. And then we have Cooper Rush. He kind of won the backup quarterback spot before preseason even started. We had Will Grier. He's still out there getting a lot of snaps, and he's not impressive. This guy is a veteran QB. He's been in the league. Not much game experience. He came over from Carolina 2 years ago, the Carolina Panthers, and he had a couple splash plays when he was with Carolina, so we brought him over to see what it's like. Mobile quarterback. He's just even with the new rule of you could keep a 3rd quarterback, that doesn't count to your 53. I think there's some type of new rule like that. I don't care. If we're going to bring a 3rd guy in, I don't want it to be him. He holds on to the ball way too long. Yeah, he's mobile, but he don't do nothing with it when he gets out of the pocket. So I'm done. We got 2 quarterbacks in the quarterback room. Save that spot for another player, So we'll move on. We'll move on to the running back room. Exciting. So everyone, Deuce Vaughn has taken preseason by storm. We love Deuce Vaughn. He's making the team for sure. He may not even need to play this next game. We're going to use him. He's going to see the end zone this year. We like Deuce Vaughn. Hot take, though. He will not be running back number 2. Running back number 2 will be Rico Dowdle. Hard runner. He will be our short yardage back if Tony Pollard can't always get it done. Tony Pollard's going to see a lot of touches this year. It's a franchise year for him. So like the Cowboys do, we're going to run him to the ground. Tony Pollard is running back 1. Rico Dowdle is running back 2. And Deuce Vaughn will be gadget back, possibly returner at some points. Screens. We'll be using him in a lot of different ways. Deuce Vaughn will see the end zone. You've heard it here first. Moving on to the receiver room. CeeDee Lamb at 1. Brandon Cooks at 2. Neither of them have seen a snap of preseason because they don't need to. They're ready to go. 1 and 2 are ready to go. Michael Gallup, ready to go. The interesting one is Jalen Tolbert, number 18. We drafted him last year in the 3rd round. He had a bad year last year. Didn't see many snaps or opportunities, but this year he looks like he's ready to compete with Michael Gallup for touches. That's exciting. The receiver room looks great. I honestly feel like the receiver room is stacked, and that bodes very well for Dak Prescott. To finish out the receiver room, we're going to keep Kevontae Turpin, our specialist return man, punt and kickoff, and he's looking pretty good. We'll be using him in the receiver, as a receiver as well. He's good. He's a good player. He needs to hold on to the ball. He's a little guy. He's slight built, but I like him too. And then last, we're keeping 6 receivers in my eyes. Jalen Brooks, rookie, been doing really well in camp. Hasn't translated to games just quite yet. He's had a rough couple of outings, but the talent is there. The range is there. The catch radius is there. He's a good receiver. We'll probably be using him on special teams, but we got 6 receivers. If you have to ask me, 6 receivers are making this team. Let's go to the O-line. Biggest question mark of the team, honestly. Getting Zach Martin back was a big deal. It shored up a lot of that stuff in the middle. So we got Tyron Smith on the left tackle until he gets injured. And then we got Tyler Smith at left guard, which is he's solid. He could kick out to left tackle if we absolutely need him to. I prefer him to stay at guard and get settled in because he's strong. Strong boy. Year 2, I like Tyler Smith. Tyler Biotish, our center, been real feisty, ensued a brawl in camp over in Oxnard last week. He's feisty. He had a Pro Bowl year last year, his first Pro Bowl year. Solid center. Have nothing bad to say about this guy. Like him. Of course, Zach Martin's back in the building. One of our top, you could argue, top 3 players on our team. Zach Martin coming back at right tackle. And Terrence Steele is back at right tackle. Our strongest run blocker, I would say. He's very mobile, very big guy. He gets out to the second level. He had a good year last year until he got injured. And we're expecting him to have a bounce back year. Where it gets shaky, ladies and gentlemen, because excuse me, guys, this is rough because it's a point of concern for the Cowboys. If there are any injuries on the O-line, we're in trouble. Because after that 5 that I named, it gets really, really murky. Nothing's proven. Nothing proven as a backup. We let our backups walk. So we have Matt Farniok, who is currently our backup center / guard. He's better at center though. So he's cool. He might be our most reliable guy. He was here last year, stepped in at guard a little bit, did okay. But preseason hasn't looked great for him. He's looked better at center than guard. We kind of need, we need guys that can play, that have position flex. So he's our best backup, and he's not a tackle, which is our real need of concern because of Tyron Smith. Tyron Smith goes down at least 6 games a season for the past 5 seasons. So we're going to need a swing tackle, which we do not have a proven one. We do have a draft pick, though, this past year. Awesome Richards out of North Carolina. And he plays left, he stepped in at tackle and he's stepped in at guard. He's just green. He's very young, and I don't feel comfortable him taking the spot of Tyron Smith, Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? Probably first ballot Hall of Famer left tackle. So if and when Tyron Smith goes down, we are in trouble, guys. For that matter, if anybody goes down on the offensive line, we are in trouble because nothing's proven. So that being said, Jason Peters is still out there, and I expect us to pick him up before the season starts. I would hate to have to use him for a stretch of games, but he's good in a pinch. He's the best thing we have in a pinch at tackle. Hopefully, knock on wood, we don't have to use him because last year we saw what Jason Peters can barely play 40 snaps. So it's rough. It's rough out here for the backup O-line. We're moving on. Sorry, I've spent enough time. The tight end room. We lost Dalton Schultz. He's on the Houston Texans now, but now we have Jake Ferguson stepping in. His rookie year last year was good, and he looked good week 1 of preseason. He has a bigger catch radius than Dalton Schultz. Probably a better yardage player than Dalton Schultz. So I'm excited to see what Jake Ferguson does. It's young. Our tight end room is young, but let's go. Luke Schoonmaker. We drafted him in the 2nd round. A lot of people say that was a wasted pick, but if you know the Cowboys, we use 2 tight end sets, and the tight ends block. Jake Ferguson is a decent blocker, and Luke Schoonmaker is known for his blocking coming out of Michigan. So there you go, tight end number 1, tight end number 2. And then you got Sean McEwen, who I think will make the team, as another special team / blocking tight end, not really a catcher. But that's what we really need our tight ends to block on the edge to help our running game, help Tony Pollard get to the outside. And then Peyton Hendershot, he's kind of you spread him out there, tight end. He's more of a route runner than an actual tight end. He doesn't really put his hand in the dirt. But even last year, he had a couple of touchdowns. reliable route runner. He's a rookie. So, like I said, tight end room is very young. We're going to switch it over to defense now, ladies and gentlemen. The offense, you heard it. You heard it right here. We'll start with the D-line. Strongest position group on our team, the D-line. And because we have Micah Parsons, which a lot would call him a linebacker, and he is, but he's a linebacker to come off that edge like a monster. So Micah Parsons on one defensive end side. You got DeMarcus Lawrence on the other side. You know, still a great player. Is he on the decline? Yes, but he is the leader of that defensive line room, which is our strongest room. Very valuable player, leader of the team. Dante Fowler had a good year last year with us, had about 6 sacks. We like Dante Fowler. I see him being, you know, the next guy off the bench when Micah has to go play linebacker a little bit. Sam Williams, good player, second year. He was also in the brawl last week in Oxnard. Very feisty player. Had a lot of penalties, playing, you know, doing a lot after the whistle last year. He's got to mature up. No more flags, no more penalties, no more roughing the passer. That's his problem. He's an aggressive player, gets a lot of tackles for loss, but the penalties he has to cut back on this year. I'm excited about him. Dorrance Armstrong, another reliable. We have a lot of good defensive ends, man. Reliable, very reliable guy. We might trade him for an O-lineman, though. I could see him being traded because the defensive end group is very extended, we'll say. Junior Fehoko, he's a rookie. He's going to make the team. Haven't seen much from him. They're playing him inside and outside, but he's making the team. We keep our rookies normally, unless they're just trash, or you know what I mean? And then surprise, I think Isaiah Land, he's an undrafted free agent. I think he's making the team because we lost a linebacker in DeMarvin Overshown. And Isaiah Land is kind of a tweener. He plays, he's small for a defensive end, but he's big for a linebacker. But we're going to have him out there at special teams. And he's flashed as a pass rusher in these 2 preseason games. Let's move to the inside. We got Jonathan Hankins. Happy to see him back. He's a run stopper, and we're going to need him because it's been looking rough for our first-round pick, Mozzie Smith. Been looking rough. He's been getting washed. He's been getting turned. He's supposed to be a powerful D-tackle that stops the run, and we haven't seen it yet. He seems strong with his hands. He just got to work on his technique, and I think he's having trouble with the scheme. I think he's more of a wait-and-see D-tackle, and Dan Quinn needs his D-tackles to react and then read. React, figure out if it's a run, figure out if it's a pass, but we need the pass rush too, and Mozzie is not, he hasn't been what's been advertised coming out of Michigan. We don't like it. Sad to say. Sorry, everyone. Osa Odighizuwa is making the team. He is a 3 technique DN that gets after the quarterback. Had a strong year last year. I expect him to continue. Chauncey Golston, bubble player. He's making the team. This is only his, I want to say his third year back. And he's all right. He's all right. But he's done just enough to make the team because we need more defensive tackles on the squad because Mozzie, our first round pick, has been very underwhelming. So we're keeping Chauncey Golston, I believe. Neville Gallimore, another bubble player. He was in the doghouse last year because he came into camp overweight. Excuse me. He's a big boy. He's a 3 technique that looks like a 1. So, but he's done good in preseason. He's at his strongest offseason since he's been on the team. I expect him to make the team as well. Our defensive line is going to be the biggest group, the most. We got about, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we have 7, 5. We have 12 off defensive linemen making the team. 12. Sorry, guys. Had to do the math real quick. Let's move on to the linebackers. Could have been such a good group if we didn't lose our 3rd round pick Overshown out of Texas. But it's Leighton Vander Esch. We know about him, number 55, the Wolf. He's leading the room, middle linebacker. Damone Clark out of LSU. Year 2, he's ready to go. Those are our 2 linebackers that will be in the game. Those 2 guys. And then Micah, when we need him to move back and play linebacker, which we will, he'll be in the line. He's moving back and forth between DN and linebacker. But those 3 guys, Micah, Leighton, Damone Clark. They're getting the snaps. Those are our starters at linebacker. Depth. A guy who's flashed. He was a draft pick last year. Didn't play at all. He kind of played special teams, I think. Devin Harper. He's going to make the team as a special teamer and possibly back up Mike, linebacker. And then the tail end of the linebacker room, he might not have made the team if Overshown did get injured. But Jabril Cox out of LSU. This is year 3 for him, and it's been rough still in the preseason. He had a better game against the Seahawks than he did against the Jags, but he's more of a coverage linebacker. He's kind of lighting the ass. And he's just a tick late to every play. Everyone's beating him there, including the safeties. He's not really sticking his nose in there, which is concerning because he's undersized. You got to be a willing tackler as a linebacker. But he's making the team because of his coverage skills. He'll probably be on special teams. And we need you can never have too many linebackers. You need about 5. We're going in with 4. So let's move to the safety. Jaron Kearse is back. Malik Hooker is back. Jaron Kearse, by the way, is also a hybrid, almost linebacker type player. Malik Hooker is back. We signed him to a 3-year extension, so he's here for the long haul. He's our free safety. His rank, he's been cool, but he's not the Malik Hooker that got drafted in the first round when he got drafted. I think injuries have robbed him of some of his range on the back end, but he's on the team. Those are the starting safety. We hope Donovan Wilson gets back for week 1. He's a monster at safety. He's our strong safety for real. Him and Kearse we're weird. We have 3 safeties on the field normally at all times. And Donovan is one of the people that gets to the football and makes plays. I hope he's ready for week 1. Monster. Number 6 last year, if y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Very ferocious tackler. On the back end of the safety room, I'm giving it to Marquise Bell. He's making the team, and he's like linebacker / safety. Dan Quinn likes those guys. The people who can play linebacker and safety. The safety that gets right up on the line. That's what Marquise Bell is. He's played well in these preseason games. He's been the leading tackler in both, I want to say. And then there's a guy named Wanye Thomas that has flashed in camp and has flashed in the games. I see him making the team at safety. Good player. He had a bonehead penalty, taunting, that took away, that we were about to get off the field as a defense last game, and he taunted the receiver after a whatever play. And he's got to cut that out if he's going to make the team. But I see him making the squad. He's had a good camp. Last group, corner, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, the best duo at corner in the league. Don't argue me. If you want to argue, hit the comments up. I'm down. I'm here all day. I'm game. It's Trayvon Diggs and Stephon Gilmore. Don't test it. Don't test it, QBs. You're going to get burnt. Don't test it. Argue, though. Argue me. If you think there's a better cornerback duo, let me know. Trayvon Diggs, Stephon Gilmore. And then our nickel corners, it's tough. It's rough. It's interesting. Because Jordan Lewis is still injured. He's probably going to start the season on PUP. So we probably won't see him till week 6. That's if we have some energies in the cornerback room. Because I like our corners. Deron Bland is our starting nickel at this point. Deron Bland. He was a rookie last year, led the team in interceptions. He's back. I expect him to be the 3rd corner. 4th corner, I'm happy to see Kelvin Joseph, who is a special teams ace, actually coming into full form. Good player. Let's go, Kelvin Joseph. You're making the team. I like what I've seen from you in these past preseason games. Israel Mukuamu, tweener, safety, corner. He's a big guy. We'll have him out there. And then Eric Scott to round out the cornerback room. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our roster besides, the kicker, the punter, and this long snapper. I'll tell you their names later. Well, guys, it's been fun. I had to let y'all know what the roster is going to look like in my eyes. Until next time on the Faithful Fan Show. Dun, 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 dun.
Rookie in the paint, going hard with the vet. Shot so much, man, I think I need a leg. Rookie in the paint, going hard with the vet. Shot so much, man, I think I need a leg. Animal, MC Cannibal, rap Hannibal. Here to change the game, mainframe, all y'all programmable. Coaching on tracks, balling like a paper like Phil. I'm Morpheus and real, my rhymes convict and heal. A world blind, my lines a red pill, real. Ball like I've been here, rookie in his prime. Focus like Jordan the second time. Kobe in playoff times, mojito.